Hello guys, I thought I would talk a bit more about programming and how I got to this profession. So I made a small list of basically my past. I had to go back because I started that's been a long time. It's been 20 years. So pretty much 20 years ago I got my first computer. It was a Pentium 133 with Windows XP on it. And the first thing I installed was Command and Conquer Red Alert. I don't know if you know that game, it's very old. Back then I didn't even know that you could program a computer. I had some idea that the software needs to come from somewhere, but I really had no idea. Yeah, that was pretty much only around 1 year where I was only going to these computer parties. So we would carry our computers, bring them over to a friend's house, connect them with a LAN cable and just display. And what I noticed there were so many problems in the network connection. It was incredible. What I noticed in these computer parties was that I actually didn't like to play so much. I was mostly repairing the connectivity and trying to get the software installed for everybody. And at one point, I was in school. That was probably when I was 16. When have I been 16? Alright, I was 17 when it was the year 2000 and the EU got the euro, so it must have been 1999 or something, where I was basically mostly going to these LAN parties, hanging out with my friends, and then our teacher in school, he gave us Turbo Pascal. Turbo Pascal is a procedural language, so you couldn't really build objects, at least not in the version that I used. So you couldn't do anything really sophisticated like object-oriented programming, and also the concept of the internet. I mean, we had websites, but it wasn't really anywhere where it is today, so that you could look up things. So basically we had to go through documentation and teach it to ourselves and ask the teacher. That was around 2000. And then when I was around 17, 18, our teacher gave us Delphi. Delphi is a much cooler language. Delphi is a language where you can make graphical user interfaces. That was definitely a step further, and it was good fun to program with that. And then that was around, when I was 17, 18, I discovered websites and I discovered PHP. Then I had my first job as a programmer in a web design company. So it was back then when people didn't use any website builders. You basically go in and build the website yourself. You upload it on the FTP server, build it with PHP. You have some kind of framework where you need to code everything by hand, basically. So it's also nowhere where it is today. It was very bare bones, everything. But they hired me for, I think it was 20 euros per hour, which was a lot for me back then, as someone who had basically not much experience. And then I graduated from school. So I was done with high school, and then I didn't know what to do. All my fellow students, they were going and going to study, and I thought, should I study or shall I maybe do something else? And then coincidence, I came to this company that searched for an apprentice. Apprenticeship in Germany is something where you would go part-time in the school and part-time you work in that company. So it's more practical than the uni, and it's more theoretical than just starting to work right away. So it was nice. The school was way too easy for me. In retrospect, I would say I shouldn't have done it because it was partly a waste of time. But in that company, I was really becoming a programmer, and that was really cool. And after that company hired me for, I think back then it was 35 euros per hour, which was a lot for me. That was crazy. I think I needed to work maybe 1 day per week, and I could sustain my living as a student. I started studying, and back then came Java. We used Java in studies, but also in that company. Didn't like Java a lot. Maybe later I make a video about why I don't like Java so much. I really liked it back then, but now I'm onto something new. That was, I think I was around 2022. I was studying, still working part-time in that company. Then I had a semester in Spain. And then in Spain, I found a programmer who was programming Ruby on Rails. And I wanted to learn it because a couple of friends of mine were using it. So I hired that programmer to basically teach me. So he was teaching me Spanish and programming at the same time, which was really fun. And it worked out. I became a Ruby on Rails programmer. And that was around 2009. I came back from Spain and I opened my first company. I was becoming the CEO of a small software dev shop. And it worked like this. We were acquiring projects. It was mainly festival software and some other industry software and still some websites, and we were programming it in Ruby on Rails, and I would hire my fellow students to program for me. So I think in around 2010 I wouldn't program myself anymore. I was basically just delegating work and having more like an abstract overview about things. And that was when things took off and the company went well, and I could also study at the same time. And yeah, I really have to attribute most of that success from those days to the language Ruby on Rails. It is really the one thing I started to love to program, and I'm still doing it. I now use also front-end programming languages, which is in my case, of course, JavaScript, but the framework I use is Vue.js. You've probably heard a lot of terms here that you haven't known before. I hope I make this video easy enough for you to get. And if there are people amongst you that are starting to learn to program or already know how to program, please reach out to me. I would like to make more content about this topic because I think it can help a lot of people. Yeah, as I said, I will probably make more videos about this. Let me know what you think about the topic in general. Okay guys, have a good weekend. I hope you're having success with everything you do, and please comment on how you like this topic and if you need more of it. Bye bye.